Most people talk about making money, building a career, finding freedom, but almost no one talks about the single factor that determines all of it: time. We grow up believing life is long, that we have 30 or 40 years to figure things out, that we can relax now and deal with the future later. But the brutal truth is this: life does not give you 40 years to prepare. It gives you a small window, a short period where your energy, your health, your learning speed, and your opportunities all align. And once that window closes, it never truly opens again. When you're young, you think you have unlimited time, but time doesn't care what you think, it just moves, and one day you realize you're no longer running ahead of time, time is the one pushing you. Between ages 22 and 37 lies the only period in your life where you can truly outrun everyone around you, because it's the only time you possess things you will never fully get back: youth, speed, adaptability, and the ability to work with an intensity your 40-year-old self can't even imagine. These are the 15 years where you can stay up late without breaking, work 12-hour days without collapsing, switch careers without fear, fail without permanent consequences, and chase opportunities without being tied down by kids, aging parents, or the pressure of time. But the irony is brutal. These 15 years are exactly when most people act like they have forever. They spend like the future will magically fix itself. They procrastinate like time is unlimited, and they drift through their 20 seconds as if their 30 seconds aren't coming. The harsh truth is this: your entire financial trajectory, good or bad, is shaped inside this 15-year window. If you use it well, you build skills, assets, a career, and a foundation that compounds for decades. If you waste it, you hit 38 with nothing but excuses and a clock you can't rewind. And the scariest part isn't what you haven't achieved, it's realizing the hourglass has been draining faster than you ever noticed. One of the most dangerous illusions young people believe is this: I'm young, I have time, I can try anything, I'll figure it out later. It sounds inspirational, almost poetic, but it's the reason millions lose an entire decade of their lives without realizing it. Youth freedom isn't a gift, it's a trap wrapped in excitement. You think you're enjoying life, but in reality, you're burning through the most valuable years you'll ever have. In your 22nd, you spend money like the future doesn't exist. You procrastinate like time is infinite. You jump between jobs as if there will never be consequences. But the harsh reality is this: every impulsive choice in your 20 seconds becomes a burden in your 30 seconds. The more you chase short-term freedom, the more you sacrifice long-term freedom, the only kind that actually matters. Real freedom in America or anywhere else doesn't come from living for the moment. It comes from having the financial strength to say no to what drains you and yes to what you truly want. The problem isn't that you enjoy life, it's that you don't realize every day you take it easy cuts away a future you desperately wish you could return to. What most people don't realize is this: the bad habits you build in your 22nd don't disappear, they just get more expensive in your 32nd. In your 22nd, you can spend your whole paycheck and somehow be fine. In your 32nd, that becomes debt. In your 20 seconds, you can jump from job to job. In your 30 seconds, you're labeled as someone who lacks direction. In your 20 seconds, you can stay up late, gaming or scrolling TikTok. In your 30 seconds, those same habits drain the energy you desperately need. Lack of discipline isn't just a weakness, it's a silent debt that your 30 seconds will force you to pay with stress, financial pressure, and the painful feeling of falling behind. And when you enter your 30 seconds without skills, without savings, without solid habits, you begin to see how unforgiving the world becomes. The brutal truth is this: no one judges you in your 20 seconds, but everyone judges you in your 30 seconds. And there's no one to blame, because the life you have today is built from the choices you made or avoided every day for the last decade. There's a truth most people avoid. Your financial irresponsibility doesn't just hurt you, it hurts the people who quietly stand behind you. In the US, over 60% of adults live paycheck to paycheck. And when things fall apart, the first people they turn to aren't financial advisors, it's family. Parents delay retirement, take on extra work, or dip into their savings even when their health is failing. Siblings put their own goals on hold, share income, or co-sign loans because you weren't prepared to handle your own life. Your youth freedom isn't free. It's funded by the sacrifice of people who never say no to you. And the heartbreaking part? They don't complain, which makes it even easier for you to forget how much they're carrying for you. The truth is simple. You can afford to postpone your life, but your family can't. The less responsibility you take in your 20 seconds and 30 seconds, the heavier the burden becomes for them in their 40 seconds and 50 seconds. And eventually, you have to face the question nobody wants to ask. Who paid the price for my freedom? Age 35 is the point where life stops seeing you as a young person figuring things out and starts seeing you as an adult who should have results. At 25, you can say you're learning. At 30, you can say you're experimenting. But at 35, nobody cares if you're still trying to find yourself. Employers want skills, not promises. Friends want stability, not unfinished plans. Your family needs strength, not another round of trial and error. And the hardest truth hits you all at once. Life will not wait for you anymore. You realize you can't switch careers as freely as before. You can't sleep 4 hours and grind 12 like you did at 25. You can't rebuild from zero without paying a heavy price in health, stress, and what little freedom you have left. At 35, the world doesn't measure your potential, it measures your results. What you've built, what you're capable of sustaining. And if you didn't prepare during the 15 years before this moment, this is where you finally feel how brutally fast time has been moving against you. One of the biggest lies people tell themselves is the myth of late success. Social media highlights a few rare individuals who made it in their 40 seconds or 50 seconds and turns them into slogans that convince an entire generation to delay effort, justify procrastination, and comfort themselves with the idea that it's okay, I still have time. But the harsh truth is this: the stories you hear are outliers, statistical miracles in a world full of millions who waited for their moment and never got one. Late success isn't a plan, it's a lottery ticket. You can hope for it, but you cannot build your life depending on it. And the most dangerous part? The more you believe in late success, the more you behave as if time isn't moving, while in reality, it's pushing you into a corner. People don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they rely on a narrative that was never meant for them. Success always requires years of preparation, and if you wait too long to start, you'll eventually reach a point where you no longer have the energy, the window, or the resilience to chase anything. One of the harshest realities of adulthood is discovering that freedom doesn't come from attitude, passion, or mindset. Freedom comes from money. Without money, you don't choose the job you want. You take the job you hate. Without money, you don't choose where you live. You settle for whatever you can afford. Without money, you can't say no to what drains you. You endure it because you don't have options. Freedom isn't for the carefree, it's for the self-sufficient. That's why in your 20 seconds, you can live without discipline, but in your 30 seconds, every financial mistake becomes a rope tightening around your life. Want to leave a toxic workplace? Without money, you can't. Want to start a business? Without money, you won't. Want to take a month off to reset your mental health? Without money, you get even more stressed. The truth is simple. People with money have choices. People without money have obligations. Freedom isn't about living spontaneously. Freedom is having the power to make decisions without financial fear controlling you. And if you don't build that foundation during your 15-year window, you won't enter your 40 seconds with freedom. You'll enter with limitations coming from every direction. People say money can't buy character, but they forget something far more important. A lack of money can destroy your character faster than anything else. A kind person struggles to stay kind when they're crushed by bills, debt, and survival pressure. An honest person struggles to stay honest when they have no choices and must accept things that violate their values just to make it through the month. Someone compassionate can become irritable and harsh when life keeps pushing them into corners with no exits. Someone with dignity can lose that dignity when they're forced to borrow, rely on others, or beg for help just to keep the lights on. And here's the cold truth. No matter how strong your character is, it becomes fragile when your finances are weak. People with a financial foundation aren't better. They simply have the space to be better. They have calm, they have choices, they have the ability to say no to what's wrong and yes to what aligns with who they are. But those without financial stability are stuck in survival mode, and you can't live as your best self when you're constantly fighting just to survive. That's why building financial strength isn't just about money, it's about protecting the core of who you are from being crushed by reality. There's a brutal paradox you only realize once you become an adult. Nobody teaches you how money works, yet everyone judges you for not knowing it. School teaches you calculus, poetry, and the structure of a cell, but not how to build credit, manage debt, invest, buy insurance, or track your spending. Families teach you to be kind, responsible, hardworking, but rarely how to create a financial plan or how to avoid the traps of modern consumerism. And then, society throws you into one of the most competitive economic systems in the world, where every financial mistake costs real money, real time, and real peace of mind. By your 30 seconds, you're judged by how well you can stand on your own. By your 35 seconds, you're judged by your results. And by your 40 seconds, you're judged by the decisions you made or avoided during the previous 2 decades. No one cares that you were never taught. They only care about how you're performing now. That's why understanding money isn't a luxury skill, it's a survival skill. If you don't learn it yourself, no one will teach you. And if you don't know it, life will teach you in the most expensive way possible. There's a truth most people only understand when it's already too late. Life is much shorter than you think. You believe you have 20 years to figure things out, but in reality, you only have a few truly productive ones. You think 40 is far away, but all it takes is a few job cycles, a recession, a couple of family emergencies, and suddenly a decade is gone. Your 20 seconds disappear in overconfidence. Your 30 seconds disappear in pressure. And when you hit your 40 seconds, time doesn't move anymore, it sprints. You can't experiment the way you used to. You can't restart as easily as before. You can't switch careers, switch paths, or switch futures with the same reckless confidence you had at 22. And the painful part isn't that time goes fast. The painful part is that you don't realize how fast it was going until your opportunities are no longer there. The brutal truth is this: you're never defeated by other people, you're defeated by the time you miscalculated. If you don't start now, tomorrow isn't a new beginning. It's just a slightly worse version of today. In the end, everything comes down to one simple but dangerous question. What will you do with the only 15 years that can completely change your life? No one can answer it for you, no one can live it for you. No one will carry the weight of the future you refuse to build. You can spend those 15 years on distractions, procrastination, and short-term pleasure and walk into your 40 seconds with regrets no one can save you from. Or you can use those 15 years to build skill, build discipline, build wealth, and build a life your future self will thank you for. The scary part isn't that you haven't started. The scary part is believing you still have plenty of time left. But you don't. No one does. The people who win in life aren't the smartest, the luckiest, or even the most talented. They're the ones who understand that their window to become extraordinary is limited, and they refuse to waste a single day of it. Because at the end of every life, the conclusion is the same. Time does not belong to you, but your choices do. So what will you do while your 15-year window is still open?